lived in Flamstock, a small country town, for 25 years. He rented the manor house, a quaint old mansion at the top of the high street. He was a man of considerable means, and a bachelor. His tastes were literary and antiquarian. He was the possessor of a notable library. He collected old china, old silver. He had a small but valuable museum of antiquities. He was never so happy as when he was busied about his books and his curiosities. But he was by no means a recluse. From the time of his coming to Flamstock, he took a good deal of interest in the life of the town. He had served on its town council. He had been mayor. He had founded a literary and philosophical institute, and once a year he lectured to its members on some subject of importance. Also, he was a magistrate, and he never failed in his attendance at petty sessions or quarter sessions. In short, he was a feature of the town. Everybody knew him. His face and figure was as familiar in High Street as the tower of the old church, or the queer figures which ornamented the town hall clock. So much for Mr. Walshaw's public life. His private life appeared to have been a very quiet one. His household consisted of a housekeeper, a cook, 3 female servants, and a boy in buttons. He also employed 2 gardeners and a groom coachman, who drove his one equipage, an old-fashioned landau. He seems to have had no very near relations. In fact, the only relation who ever came to see him was a niece, married, far away in the north of England, who visited Flamstock for a week or 2 every year, and for the last few years had brought her 2 small children with her. It was understood by those Flamstockians who were admitted to Mr. Walshaw's confidence that this lady would inherit all he had, and she had inherited it now that he was dead, and it was by her express desire, and on her instructions, that the New Scotland Yard man, who toasted his feet at the fire of his private parlour in the Bull and Bucket, had come down to Flamstock to find out the truth about the mystery which surrounded her uncle's death. That Mr. Walshaw's death had taken place under mysterious circumstances, there was no doubt. He was found dead in bed at noon on the 10th day of November, on a Thursday. The detective had no need to refer to his memoranda for these precise facts as regards Mr. Walshaw's doings for some days previous to the day of his death. Nothing had occurred which could be taken as presaging his decease. He had shown no signs of illness, had made no complaint of any feeling of illness. In fact, he had been rather more than usually active that week. On the Monday evening, he had delivered his annual lecture at the Institute. On the Tuesday, he had sat on the bench at the town hall from 11 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. On the Wednesday, he had lunched in Sir Anthony Cleek's house, just outside the town. That evening, he had entertained a few friends to dinner, 1 or 2 of whom had stayed rather late. The fact that they had stayed rather late had relieved Mrs. Whiteside, the housekeeper, of any fear when Mr. Walshaw did not come down to breakfast at his usual hour next morning. She knew he had not gone to bed until quite 2 o'clock. When breakfast time had been passed by 2 hours, however, she went to call him, and getting no answer, walked into his room to find him asleep, but looking so strange and breathing so uneasily that she had become alarmed and sent at once for medical help. There was a delay in getting that. Dr. Thorney, Mr. Walshaw's medical attendant, was away from home, and his assistant had gone into the country on a round of visits. Consequently, an hour elapsed before medical help was brought to his bedside, and when it arrived, Mr. Walshaw was dead. In the opinion of the coroner, this was decidedly a case for a post-mortem examination, and it was immediately carried out. Its results went to prove that Mr. Walshaw had died from veronal poisoning. Thereupon the mystery began. It was not known to any member of his household that he ever took such things. There was no trace of such things in the house. His private apartments were searched from top to bottom. His desks, his drawers, every receptacle, every nook and cranny where drugs could have been concealed was scrupulously examined. Nothing was found.